When you hear that, you are full of doubt. I remember that the method of absolution. It only seems to work one-on-one. We use this method of absolution, Liao City Battlefield, to do SAO. And we can't find many helpers. That way, in a short time, Lai Spring hands out. In the palm of his hand, there's a couple of sprouts right now. The method of obtaining amnesia is 1-for-1. But the amputation method that we've improved, it's not like that. At this time in the sky, the dragon's voice echoed. The earth and sky are ringing again. Ayan and Kuan Yin have now succeeded. From the ice world back. As soon as he came out, he looked down and screamed. Foreign god orifice, model lower ectopic. He was executed by the king with a sword. These invaders. It's the product of a moral component. After having awakened his own consciousness. That's amazing to hear from the masters over there. Look at the loincloth. The loincloth has been killed. I can't stop screaming out loud. Only to their original world. Only then can we really kill them. Being next to you right now, my whole body is almost polluted. The rate of death is faster than we expected. At this speed, we're afraid we can't send intelligence to the right point. For people in other worlds. First, we'll send intelligence to the higher being first. The top, Prussian cracks filled with wonder uttered. And they killed the foreign god. The power of this world is so strong. Kuan Yin is next door, after receiving the information of the second official. To understand Ra is like that. No blame, 6 saints always quietly handle people who know this. So the fight between the world is chaotic. And the big world. Maybe it's a long way from over. Think for a moment. She gave the order to the lower body. Give up resistance to wide LAN gas. Her limited identity. Get this idea. Death is on you. Instant LAN overflow quickly. Kier body puzzled looking up, asked at SAO. Kuan Yin calmly replied, you forgot to consider one thing. If the creator over there wakes up, the world will be chaotic. Reset the feng shui. So how many primal rays are there now? Religion in a chaotic world. In time, we will have so many opponents. Is the chief imposter. Limited separation. I still want to say something when I hear that. But I can't say Ra yet. Then suddenly, death disappeared on the spot. Ayan next to look. In the head, remember what you did before you came back to this world. That the Kan Yin Kier's clone says. If after I return to your world. Death of unknown cause. It means between us and the higher being. There was a serious disagreement. They don't want us to transmit intelligence. About the chaotic world to the vast world. My eyes squinted and looked up at the crack. I'm very angry with these kids. It turns out you're always trying to hide the enemy's intelligence. At the same time in the Holy Land. These two people, 2 of the 6 saints of the world. Normative and follow up. The conductor is sitting right now. 2 eyes suddenly opened. The one next to you saw that and asked. Then the quick response. Chief Preacher of the Small Celestial World. 2.414. Receive intelligence related to the chaotic world. That sounds a little suspicious. 2.414, that's not a testing ground. Selected by Kuan Yin and Dila Sao. Next head nod. That's right, after catching the alien. Chief Fake, the government has received some intelligence. About the chaotic world during the attack. More. It's not just that, moving back to the city. A few peas sprouted in the spring. He threw it out. The sprouts just fell to the ground and immediately sprouted. Seriously, I was surprised to see that. To become SAO soldiers, the woman next to him protested. It's not quite right. It's more like new magic. combining the advantages of beings into soldiers and statues of soldiers. Spring doesn't pay attention to them. Turn your head and look at the ocean. Let me borrow some blood from the tip of your finger. The ocean without hesitation nods. Then put your finger out. A drop of blood on his finger immediately shot out. Li Chun, and then we split them up into 4 little drops. Then, that's what makes them point the 4 earthen statues in front of them. Fly too. 4 drops of his own blood quickly merged into 4 earth statues. Very quickly, for earth statues, it has become the face of kin. Those who are serious are terrified. Open your mouth. Lai Spring wiped hand explained. This is an avatar art. I prepared myself for myself, taking clay for flesh and blood. Take the rhizome of the pea tree as a skeleton and experience. Add more essence. And a thread of developer consciousness. An embodiment of conscientious cooperation with the developer will be born. I heard that whisper thinking. This technique, on the contrary, is the same with the method of multiplication. I'm afraid that the great learning that the world holds, it's the previous version that Li created. When I discovered this technique, Lai Spring pointed to the 4 earthlings. The lessons I took from you. It has just been returned. Now, let's use mental analysis. What you learned from the Middle Ages. To cut the soul thread. And integrate them into these earthen statues. And then use amnesia. To go to other worlds. And regain a living ray of hope. For our world. Through reincarnation. And parole at the same time. There are many different people in the world. After reaching a certain scale. By relying on persuasion and persuasion. That's why we win reinforcements. To say that, this is Li's idea. It's actually highly feasible. Very quickly, foreground statues in front, completely turned into a real person. One of them looked at Li Spring and asked, "Any suggestions about the microcosm?" The enemy replied, "Of course there is." On the side of Europe, Viet Trach is still struggling with the fake. He's struggling in his head right now. Our hidden, powerful thoughts don't work. Moreover, the mechanism of penetration is also seen by the enemy. If you keep fighting, there's only one risk. But even if we were to die, you've used all your trump cards like me. Can we take back the counterflag from his hands? I know this unknown god very well. Is a formidable figure. But even the national treasure of the great, it can't be completely suppressed. It's not obvious or obvious. You're not very good at being a 5-star digger. I remember seeing it not long ago. How did you abandon your disciple and flee? Face the reality of walking Viet Trach. You basically don't have that talent. You are basically unqualified to become the champion of the great army. Other people don't understand you very well. But you yourself don't know why. You are a man afraid of death. The tricks you hold. They want to survive in the hands of demons. Stronger than you train. During the Viet Trach's ideological struggle, then the force above is moving. The king could also lift his head and look up. The enemy is getting stronger. Viet Trach, the body now slowly dissolves into nothingness. When he saw that, he immediately shouted, "Be careful." After this bald man enters a state of hiding. Body image flavor. Sound. Even his footprints will be wiped out. Gas movement is the only way to know whether he's getting close to us or not. The 2 prophets are confused. Look around. Then the king in the back spoke. No need to look. He's gone. Follow the sound of the king. Volunteer canopy above. The hospital was also closed. I run and talk. You can't blame me. It's not my fault. Make enemies with those monsters. I really can't do him. I remember the scene not long ago in Zhazu. Master, it hurts. Please free me. Give me something. Turns out to be the successor to the Orthodox. Of the world's elite soldiers. There's this relationship layer. Then, I can't make you my second god. And remove the surface of the Earth's surface. This time I will let you go. Your students must stay. We have a use for them. Every time I remember these things, they only know how to cry helplessly. This time, too, he couldn't overcome his own cowardice. Decided to leave the counter-flag turned and ran away. Vin Hung, first-year head of 5 subjects. They are cowardly for fear of the enemy. The 4 fallen into the hands of the enemy. That same year, Viet Trach was stripped of his position as governor of Kai Shou. A few months later, he disappeared. The world no longer has 5. Another subject moved the scene to the temple to the Yellow Ocean. Down on the ground. I can't believe it. First of all, the old and the 100. Then even the jade hexagons of Bhakti and Avalokitesvara. It's broken too, even though the back of the dragon boat has gathered. Maybe the wind is still alive. But the number of people has dropped to this level. Let's not talk about reorganizing people to steal the national treasure. Then he assassinated King Gao. With our current situation, can avoid the pursuit of the great assault or not? It's still hard to say. Sighing, it's the fault of the poor. The same heaven of the monk has made an unduly extreme judgment. Under the guidance of an unknown master. Make Mission 7 fail and manpower is compromised. 70,000 soldiers sitting in a corner. I don't know if the body is controlled by AI. Speak up now too. It's not your responsibility. 1 times 7 defeat. Maybe it's because the hexagons were covered up. But if there's a problem 3 times. So I can only say that our preparation is still a long way from our goal. Let's call the radio back. As long as the king of China is still under control, then the king's legacy will not be interrupted. And the threat of the scabbard to the enemies of the dynasty will not be removed. Plan to weaken the great. Leading the great figure outside the Ganmen gate. Waged a war against the great tons that went bankrupt. On the radio side, even if we push harder. Also can't achieve the goal. I can't wait to see him answer. In fact, he tried to contact the radio. Since the ruler's statue was split in 2. But until now, he has not yet responded to the news of the increase. On the side of the city, the solar system is currently in development mode. Take down magic, standing on one side watching. I can't help but turn my head to the spring. I've heard a little bit about it. About Li Dong's parole method. But we never understood. Where is this magic school? Similar to absolution. There's not another great school that can be assimilated and manipulate themselves in other worlds, SAO. At Dong Dong and his methods. It is considered by many experts to be such a standard. Li quickly helped him solve his suspicions. That's because great schools can achieve the same effect. Frankly, Ra is just stealing, plunder or experiment, a piece of my own life. It's just another world. After the test is over, consciousness will also return to the world, that the essence exists. But Li Dong's method of absolution, it's not like that. He can use himself to cover others. It's easy to understand after finishing the experiment in another world. Consciousness may not return to being. That can go on to other worlds. To continue the adventure. This is for false leaders. Blocked at the door of the church. Due to road problems. Or the chief priests of the religion. Choosing the wrong path. That encounter potential dangers. As we say. We can say that this is a technique that the dream AI also wants. That year, Li Ko created this great school. Maybe to get out of the deep hole of engineering. Go to other worlds to witness. The second time, it was a pity before he could find the world. Corresponding to religion, that I like, was suddenly still lost due to being bitten by destroying Sun Fat. Temple of Rebellion. He grinned reluctantly, smiling. Rao is like that. His heart is filled with fear right now. Fuck it. Here's what a minor character like us should know. It's broken. Wait until this is over. He's not going to want to kill me. On the negative side right now. In the head turn, there's a picture of 4 other worlds. It's a magical experience. People in the 4 worlds. That Li Chun proposed, but it's a fisherman. The bandit farmer and his army defeated General Sao. Even though I feel a little guilty. With people we haven't met in other worlds. But for the thousands of beings in this world. The body of the dead. This time again, back to the land. Seriously, you see that? The master's side has already started. Then we also have to hurry. Fast and steady hands. Developer 9 North Hyen. Theme secret technique Nuyut Yen. A bird's nest very quickly appeared, flying around his body. He looked at the deputy. Tell me what happened in this place. To be closest to you. After doing this, your next mission will be to assist the mule bar in the hunt for the unscrupulous. The paint is marked. Moon Yen nodded. And then quickly destroy no fly away. On the side of the temple. Eardrum link, after trying to communicate with the radio again. This time endlessly back and forth in the temple waiting. The bird sitting on one side asked, I haven't answered you yet. He turned his head and looked at him. Not yet. Maybe he's in trouble. The 10 people standing next to me now speak up. Don't wait for him. It's hard to understand when you hear that. Looking back 10 years later, they kept talking. There's a new disaster coming. This time it's aimed at you. We have to move now. Moving to the small world 3.221. A young man growing rice suddenly stood up, staring up at the sky. It's hard for a woman nearby to understand. Ask the 3 of you, what are you doing? This young man, it's the sinless people who take refuge in this world. I've encountered the devil a few times. But the people in the village thought it was normal. So this is the world. That man and the devil together rule Sao. If you think about it, the wind turns and leaves. The woman growing rice next door found herself in butter. Then fear screams. This kid isn't hiding us anymore. 6,567 worlds in a battlefield. This general. It's the sinless people who take refuge in this world. Even though I'm of this world because of the coma injury. There's basically no way to resist. So it was taken away by me. But how? To bring this dying body back. It's also a big problem. Little Heaven World 9. 9 spirits on a river have a boat. There were 2 people on the boat, an old man and a baby. This head, it's the sinless people who take refuge in this world. The world's small devas are raging Sao. That's interesting. The last world. Let's break down the door. The power of this world is not small. I almost lost 7 of them. If the people in the sub-world proposed by the spring, all strong like this, so if you hypothesize that we're not raw, the remaining 3 incarnations were all 7 failed to take absolution. Then, we are the only chance to save the world. One of the guards saw him go out and was afraid. Screaming is not good. The traitor escaped from prison. At the same time in the world. After listening to the rest of the talk, then give an opinion. I will form an incarnation. To the small celestial world 2.414. To eliminate the chief preacher of the dynasty. A lot of that. Immediately stop the transmission. You shouldn't be overbearing. The mullahs are in that world. Before thinking about how to handle it properly, your creator. We shouldn't let the day we find out. I don't want to wake up. Change it in a softer way. Standard again, give another opinion blockade, then SAO. Continue to nod. Maybe. Then quickly take out the glass cone. Very fast. Images of the countless worlds that have appeared. In front of him. Finally, his eyes stopped on the world 2.414. Say blockade. Connection between the sky, 2.414 and other worlds. Long days except blockade will be decided later. But that doesn't include the world. According to the sound of the standard, the world of the kin people was blocked by a plagiarism. After using the magic power, it's over. Slowly get up right now. These incarnations have all gone to the worlds you proposed, and has successfully pardoned the Avalokitesvara in these worlds already. But the strange thing is, we lost contact with them just now. Do you know what's going on here? Li Spring calmly replied, maybe it's too far away. The chain of cause and effect has been severed. It's not a big deal. No matter what, you have no power. Let Kim try to pay attention to these wires, right? The frequency of nodding is also correct. In the air, long pulse at the moment, still standing there, staring at the cracks. These kids come through the speakers also lazy as SAO. Hack the loss inside the crack. Wake up now too. It is true that the complaint is correct. Big world itself is not monolithic. Compared to waging full-scale war. Force the opponent to unite against the enemy. Slow play style, into every little world. On the contrary, there is a higher win rate. The muscle at the bottom with your head up, it's so fun. Ian and Cow are not bad. After the disgraced female surgeon was killed, the next battle will be much easier. Right now, someone suddenly appeared next to him. It's hard to see the enemy. What's wrong? The one who came is Yang Qian. He just appeared. The black dog appeared behind him. Yang Qian looked at the corpse and said, Spring calls you. He points behind you, and he says that behind you. As soon as he finished speaking, the black dog jumped on him. Yang Qian wagged his tail endlessly. When you see that, you are helpless. Looks like it didn't bite. Very quickly, the people returned together to the pit. The Lord asked you to find me. Li Spring quickly responded. The plan has changed. I need you to become a saint. Just divide the picture, then use the voice and the spiritual power of the bosom of the mullahs to attract the tower and smash through the ass. They invaded this world. I want to lock them up in the city until the reincarnation of Qin Wang. Bring the troops back. I was amazed to see the ocean. SAO incarnation. It seems that while we're staring at hacking the mules, you guys have made some plans. I can hear it through my ass. The fear of speaking up. Can we go with that? Once the dark side of my master is through the ass. If you look directly at the day, I'm afraid I'll complete the transition. From a mere believer. Become a fanatic on the spot, lose more. There are you here. To pull the alien into the dream. Maybe it's not my turn. Spring opened up a box. There's a lot of spindles inside. This is an esoteric creation except for the physical world. Where you might want to go, I'll send you off. Quite organic. Both eyes looked at the magic in front of them. Can also specify where to SAO. It's really thoughtful he. He can go anywhere, but it's best to give me the body of the pagans who came with me. I'll bring him back, Theo. Avoid going back alone, was questioned by the Kier pagans. Li Spring face helpless. This guy is asking for too much. Move the scene to Tianlao Pioneer, second floor below ground. The place is quiet now, and it's being rearranged as it was. Nin Trung looked around smiling, even though something happens in the middle of the road. That led to Hu and the Queen fleeing. But there's a boy who can help us figure it out. It probably doesn't cause too much trouble. Right now, behind him, a picture appeared. Nin Trung glanced back. Inside the painting, body stern out, accompanied by two people. Nin Trung, are you here too? It's the right time, so we don't have to go looking for another trip. In the head of this body on the left, contains information about pagan believers. The danger of them. Absolutely no less than Sun Yin. This information is toxic. Be careful when reading to avoid contamination. They are tied up and thrown on the ground right now. Cry no tears. Although I say it is an arbitrary location. But I don't have to say. You can throw me into the open air. Holy shit, then glanced at him. This one on the right, the level of the same mechanism E is even higher than the hexagonal host. Use him effectively. They can survive times of chaos, of changing the human king. But you have to keep an eye on him, because he can rebel at any time. It's dead. I'm afraid in 15 minutes we'll be trapped in the city. The next generation is counting on you. Ning Trung was horrified to hear that. Not waiting for him to ask, the painting was slowly disappearing very quickly. In front of him, there are only two people left. Picture rolled up. His body has returned to Liao City. Li took back the picture and looked at the people. Now, everyone has handed over their affairs. Let's talk about this next battle. There's no chance that we'll leave in the middle. Whoever wants to withdraw, take advantage now. He glanced at him angrily. Will you stop going? Who's among the people here? Lack of things like awareness and trust. Don't make it look like we will, because we want to live. You are afraid to pull your feet. Frequency in the corners of the mouth. With a gentle and serious smile. Seriously say, let's get started. Yang Qian is being crushed to the ground by a black dog. Licking your face also speaks. I agree. Confirm everyone's attitude. The two of them immediately separate their parts. Body to the side. The shape of the muscle then immediately changes. From a state of hunger that's raging right now, has moved into the old state of evangelization only. Body transformation complete. Then he started reading. Order of the Tower of Asia fluttered through the ass. Come to my side. Overbearing mules in the cracks. It's terrifying to hear this sound. Someone is imitating my voice. I didn't wait for him to react. Next to it, there were two doors of space. King Kai Vuong's royal tower went to ask. You are looking for me. On the opposite side of the head. You can also slap it through your ass. I didn't say that. Don't drag me into this fight. We have to cover the devil's timeline. The angry mules called you back. This is not me. Two people. The king is full of confusion. At the same time, below the ground, Li Spring also began to practice. With the intensification of the climate, the size of the magic that we use will be temporarily upgraded. The derivative level of the then mental pollution and instantaneous displacement in space will be forbidden in this place. Then there's an indestructible sky will descend upon this world. In the next 15, the people inside the sky can't leave, and people outside the veil can't get in. swiping through the ass to touch the sky. It's amazing. So that voice was actually a trap. The guardians of this world want to seal us here, Sao. The king looked at the opposite. It's not a seal. It's a decisive battle. And those who want to defend the world want to beat us here in one battle. Overbearing Sand screams with contempt. These people are dreaming. Right now, I'm sitting at the bottom of the hole. Buy-in in Thien Sun Mausoleum self-produced. Travel ethics. Sun through Kai Jiang Immortal Superior. Resilience. What kind of suffering should I choose this time to form the 7 sufferings of the mortals? Another side. Tran Hung just woke up from his coma. The cow in front of him. When you see that, speak up. You're finally awake. Tran Hung looked around. Then look at the enemy. You didn't bring me back to the forest. This bull-headed man is a subordinate of the god of the 6. His name was heard by Tran Hung. He looked at the door of the cave that was over there. The plant is currently being grown there. Extremely moody appearance, eyes closed as if resuscitating. Looking back at Tran Hung, asked, "It is not that you have come to Liao City to cut cause and effect Sao. Why get caught up in such a high-level battle? When we're alive, we're also seen as celebrities. But the gas is coming from Liao City. Even the relatively weak airflow there. It also makes us shiver. So, how did you survive after all?" Tran Hung waved his hands. "Good luck with your help. We also owe a lot of favors to be paid." Asked back. Similar to the great red vow sword of IPSAO. Then it's dangerous. Tran Hung nodded. It's almost the same, but Lord San is not. I sat there for a moment, and then pointed to the corner. When I bring you back, the 6-year-old is gone. The content above the wall is, we need to leave for a while. Continue to follow the pagans in Henan. But don't go too deep. Move the scene to the other side. 6 is currently with the capital. He looked at it sincerely. Thank you for providing me shelter. During this time period, the 6-year-old fairy is the reincarnation of the emperor. The holy spirit of this world. He looked at the wind. My lips are cold. Helping you is also helping me. The aliens entered this world. It's surrounded by Li Spring now. The next 15 will be our last chance. Next, we will enter a deep sleep. If you need the Son of God, the land we often use, you can take it yourself. The capital can nod. 2 people, 10 virtues with Chung, kneeling inside the temple waiting. After a moment, the kneeling spoke. He came back and saw the capital return. On his knees, he asked, "How do you talk about it?" He replied, "The king's condition is also bad. In the next 15, I'm afraid I can only help in a limited way." The devil stroked his beard, creating a circadian king within 15 years, without the help of outside forces. This difficulty is quite high. Think for a moment. He knelt and turned his head to look at the 10 virtues next to the boy. With the current situation, all the practitioners who are engaged in martyrdom and yearning to reach the highest position, they will all become thorns in the eyes of the king's tower, and will be directly oppressed or strangled by the enemy. I still want to give up in time. Once you set foot on this road, your next opponent will be determined. He hasn't finished. Then 10 good people interrupted. It doesn't matter who the enemy is. We only care about one thing. Based on your plan, can I be strong enough to help my sister? To support them all, before her 3rd life comes or not? The devil did not answer, but the man replied that the capital could. 10 good listening then say firmly, Then there's nothing more to say. I'll do whatever you want. The middle devil saw this constancy, whispered in wonder. He was 7 gods. Then the capital next door spoke again. The devil's gone, don't hesitate. The devil sighed. Next, he performed the raw 5 demon nourishment temple. All the demons on you. He immediately gathered in a bag in his stomach. Then he used his strength to vomit it out. Out with the devil's sack. It's a fat white devil. 10 And when he saw it rolling on the ground, he was disheartened. I think this demon is weak. The devil looks at the devil. Find the rope and the head chair. Here we go. The white devil immediately held up a C. The content above is a goat's millet. Then he quickly opened Ra's pocket. Into the search. After a while, a chair and the rope was pulled out. The devil bell comes to grab the rope. And then he's brandishing his hand to the wooden pole on the roof. Then he pointed to the chair next to him. Direction 10 Good deputy. Standing on this bench. Use this rope to hang. 10 Goodness without hesitation nods. Then quickly carry the chair back to the rope. Then immediately stand up on the chair, staring at the rope hanging in front of him. Then without hesitation went to hang himself. 5 steps to becoming a martyr. The first step is deceiving life and death. Complete the process, the transition from life to death, and then from death to life independently, or with the help of others. 10 Hanging virtues. After a while, the knelt asked, 10 If you're not dead, you're one. The man next to him immediately replied that he was dead. He knelt and glanced at the capital. I really want this child. I want to be a replacement. If not, you know why. We have no choice. The devil remembers, for the first time in the world. That night was a stormy night. The king came to find him and told him that the 4 gods. Help me, said the most astounding middle devil. I can't believe it, a proud person like you. Again for my help. People with a view of life and death, the complete opposite of you. The 7 defeats at the bridge caused you to be attacked so severely. Starcom wind pattern landed in 10 power Pluto. Only the king and thought. Join us in the battle of the bridge. Between me and the tower. The devil sighed when he heard that. It's ironic that you're high pressure, Kai. That's what makes the Dark Lord of this world. It is better to tolerate the invasion of the Gentiles. I want to sit still and watch you 7. Your capital is too unpopular. The king replied seriously. The irony is gone. The power of the gods is strong. Our 7 failures are the best evidence to help us regain control of martyrdom. If 01 when the tower pulls us down, from the position of the false head born of this religion, the world will be completely hopeless. The devil can sigh. Think of it as being on top. This world goes. However, this incarnation of mine goes the way of the devil. You can't be the king of the underworld. I'll help you fight another match at the bridge. The Lord does not need you to act. I found a good one, capable of becoming a mortal and a martyr. I want you to be his guardian. Help him become the new king. The devil is amazed. It's not. People like you are looking for a successor. SAO style face down. It's not just containers. Wait until he's grown up. May compete for the position of chief imam. I'll exchange everything with him. Until then, he will replace me, still lost me, and lower the tower. We will start a round, competition for the position of the new school of life and death. In this second battle, we absolutely will not lose. The devil sighed. 10 good people who sacrifice 1 person to save the world. Although for this world, there is no problem with this transaction. But for this sacrificed child,